Hello and welcome to the Everyday Adventure podcast. My name is Nikki Bass and I will be bringing you thoughts and ideas and hopefully some inspiration on how to build more adventure into your everyday life. Hello and welcome to the first episode of the Everyday Adventure podcast. I'm so excited to join you and I really hope you enjoy what we've got coming up ahead. In this episode, I wanted to give you a bit of background to the podcast, where the idea came from and really what you can expect for at least for the next few episodes. So I've always considered myself to be quite an adventurous person. And whether that was travelling solo in places like Central America, whether it was doing my favourite activities, which are snowboarding and surfing, or in my career in the British Army, I've always tried to find ways to fit adventure. I've loved that sort of thrill, the not knowing what's around the corner, and just seeing new places, doing new things. But a few years ago, I found myself in quite a challenging situation, and not challenging by sort of global standards, but challenging personally for me. So I was the mum of two young children, I was working full time, and I was finding that the time and the space and quite frankly the energy I had for adventures was really limited, was much more limited than it used to be, and I sort of led to me sort of questioning my thoughts around myself and my identity and who I felt like I was. And as a result, I almost felt like a bit of me had started to disappear, really. And I was quite fortunate in that being in the army, I still had opportunities, every now and then I could go away for adventure training. I was still able to go and do skiing and snowboarding and things that I enjoyed. But I think that sort of overall thrill or wondering sort of what's around the corner, obviously that changes when you have kids anyway, but even if you've just got the responsibilities of a job, you can't just suddenly take off and do something. There's other things that you need to do in your life. So yeah, I was sort of getting into a bit of a sort of, I guess, is this it? I'm a bit stuck, what's next sort of thing. And then I was out for a walk one day with my kids, and it sort of struck me that actually they didn't care if we'd done the same walk 25,000 times. Every time we went on it, they got something new, or they discovered a new pile of rocks, or splashed in some puddles, and they were able to sort of make adventure out of nothing in a way that, it was actually the way that they were approaching the walk sort of adventurous. And I sort of started to wonder whether that was something actually that maybe we missed as adults, that sort of could apply to us. And it sort of struck me that actually maybe instead of seeking or seeing adventure as something sort of overseas or elsewhere or sort of out there, maybe I just needed to start looking at it from a different perspective. And maybe taking, even turning down a road that I hadn't been down before and I sort of wondered where it went, or even what the houses looked like. Maybe in a way that could be considered an adventure in itself, or, looking up, seeing the birds in the branches, seeing blossom appearing, all those sort of things. In a way, they were all new, they were all different every time I went out. And maybe actually that was part of the adventure. So I tried it, basically. I thought, well, I've got nothing to lose. What if I try approaching when I'm going out on my dog walks or I'm doing things? I start seeing those as adventures and start seeing those as mini adventures. And it made such a profound difference to how I was feeling. Whether it was, just having little moments of joy of going, well, what's that smell? And looking up and seeing the blossom go, oh, wow, that's amazing. I didn't even notice because my head was buried in my phone, wondering what my next email was going to say. Or whether it was actually just when I was out with the kids, scrabbling up the side of a muddy slope and treating that as an adventure. And suddenly I felt like adventure was all around me, and that made a huge difference to how I was feeling, how I saw what was going on, and that actually opened up the possibilities, I guess, for larger adventures too. But I also knew that, having spoken to a lot of my friends, they were sort of feeling similar, sort of what had happened to that bit of me, the bit that, might have gone off in their 20s and travelled the world or tried new things or gone for new jobs, and that sort of things had become much more predictable and about other people, and they were looking to sort of, or wanting to find ways to rediscover that bit of them. So I guess that's really what this podcast is about. It's really wanting to share actually what a difference that's made to me. I suppose that there's three aims in a way. I guess the first is that as a psychologist and a coach, that I know, and I've done research, and actually how important adventure is to our resilience, to our feeling that we can cope with different things, because it takes us outside of our comfort zone, means that we're able to cope with things, that with change, we're able to adapt to new situations. And I'm really interested to explore that further with some of the guests that I speak to, I guess. And as a former army officer, it's a way for me to sort of reclaim that bit of, when I didn't know what was coming next, or I didn't know what, where I was being sent next, or what I was going to be doing, and actually being able to, like I said, stretch myself further and take myself outside the comfort zone, and actually how that can apply more widely to other people and sort of open that opportunity up too. But then there's also the personal bit that, as a mother of two, still with relatively young children, two dogs, a guinea pig, job, I'm trying to run my own business, doing all of those things that take all of the time, all of our time, and our headspace as well, that actually looking at ways in which we can fit adventure into that context. There are so many wonderful sort of adventurers out there doing really amazing things, and I find that really inspiring, but I struggle to see how currently I can fit that into my life. But actually, when I hear of people doing everyday things, which has really given them joy, given them time for themselves, and given them a new way of looking at that world, whether it's fitness, whether it's starting a business, whether it's getting community groups, all of those sort of things, I find that really inspiring, because I think, yeah, actually that's something that I can do too, or I could at least explore. That's something that's not impossible. So this podcast is really about those sorts of people, I guess people that I relate to, people with everyday lives who have responsibilities, who have lots of other things going on, but have found ways to live adventurously in all sorts of different ways. So I'll be bringing you interviews with some of the people who personally inspired me, partly just because it's wonderful to have a chance to talk to them about those sort of things, but also because I'm really hoping that they'll inspire you too. So I hope you'll join me for the journey as we get started. Get in touch, let me know that your sort of thoughts and what you'd like to hear, if there's any particular guests, or what you think of the podcast. That would be fantastic. And yeah, let's see where this goes. Hope you'll join me for this adventure. See you later. Bye.